joy of programming. This week's episode, Ghosts with Noah Rosenberg.
I was thinking that we could write some computer software together.
That'd be fun.
Unfortunately, you already know where I'm going with this.
Maybe not.
I think maybe you do. Have you ever seen this before?
Oh, this one. Should I say no?
No, be honest.
Yes, I have enjoyed it.
Yes,
I've enjoyed it interactively.
Yes. So let me, for our viewing public, let me explain. This is my window, and this is my curtains backlit. And every, I think it's October 31st, hundreds of little kids come to my door demanding I give them candy. So what I decided to do was to scare them away. And instead of hanging up my curtains, so these are fake. That's probably obvious, but these are fake. Just for demonstration purposes. This is an artistic reenactment. I hung a sheet in the window, right? And then onto the sheet, I put a video projection of the actual curtains. And that allows me to do stuff like this.
This is sort of like a creepier version of when they project art onto incorporating the architecture of buildings.
Yes, exactly so. Although I'm protecting it from the inside. So, that's kind of... But, it's creepier. And then, you never saw this version, but I think it's pretty good too.
That one's very, reminds me of something I saw at Disney once.
Yeah?
There's, in Epcot, how the whole area is sort of treated like filled with magic tricks.
I haven't been to Epcot since I was 10.
Oh,
yeah.
You gotta take it.
I know.
You gotta go.
I know. I will.
Yeah, they have
shortly.
So they have these interactive things that the kids can do. Like they drop a gumball in this hidden machine that only the kids would know about, and then a window across the room floods with water.
I saw. So we did go to Disneyland when Lily was 5, and there was something like that. There was a hidden. I don't remember.
There's a whole game where they would get a little phone. At the time when we went, they got a little flip phone, and it activated all the stuff. It was really incredible. So, you go to these almost museum exhibit kind of cultural things, but then there's this whole extra game of sort of scavenger hunt on top.
Yeah. Disney's genius. Okay, so what are we doing here? I have a projector. I have it shining onto a sheet in my window. And what I want to do is I want to project ghostly images onto the sheet on top of curtains. So it looks like the ghosts are in the window. And I want to do that with a live video stream from my iPhone that I'm capturing as the kids are outside trick-or-treating. Okay, so the kids get projected like ghosts onto my window, and they see themselves ghostified, and I become the most popular guy on the block. That's the plan. All right? So rather than write this whole thing from scratch, which is not even what I did before when I did this, I am going to steal Brad Larson's work. Except it's not really stealing because he's an awesome guy and he put it out for everyone to use. And that's one of the lessons for this episode is creating software that makes it easy to do things and then sharing that software. So Brad Larson made GPU image, which effectively makes that kind of stuff trivial. Like, we're going to be able to write it today.
Are we going to be writing this in Objective-C or?
Yes. So let me fire up Xcode. Well, first of all, let me download this. Download this guy, and then downloading it and using it is just as easy as all of that.
I love it. So you're going to show us in general terms how to fork.
Well, I'm going to just use it, but yeah, we're gonna fork it too. But that's the surprise ending.
Oh.
God, man.
How to extend? How to be a good
collaborator? Okay, so we want a new project. Have you ever used Xcode before? Do you know anything about iPhones? Do you have an iPhone?
Is it computer? That's the one with the internet.
Sometimes. Okay, so we're going to create a single view application. We're going to call it Ghosts. And we're going to make it in Objective-C because I don't know Swift yet. And we're going to target all kinds of devices, and we're going to store it on the desktop. And I'm going to close this. And then because I want to use the camera in the phone, we can't use the simulator, but I can use this super groovy new thing from Apple that lets me capture the screen. Okay. So
wait, this is not the simulator? This is your live device?
This is my live device. Yeah, the new QuickTime can capture the screen from a live device.
Is it plugged in via USB?
Yep.
Or? Wow.
Yeah. No, it's nice. It would be really good if I didn't have to reboot the phone every time I went to use it. Yeah. But luckily, I rebooted the phone before I started recording, so it's working. Yeah, you want to watch some TV?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Oh, I can't click on it because it's. I'm trying to click on it. Here we can watch the painter. Yeah. Okay. Enough. Stop it. Let's build.
This is very meta. You're
I know.
Screencasting inside of a screencast inside of a screencast.
Right. And I got the painting in the background too because it's all about painting. Okay. So let's build this for the iPhone and see if it actually runs. Oh, and it's going to go to the simulator because I didn't tell it to go to the phone. So let's quit the simulator and tell it to go to the phone. Here it is. Karl's phone. Good job. All right, now we can stop the painting.
Are you building this for iOS 8 or 9 right now? 8.4.
8.4, looks like. I can turn it way back, though. I try to turn it way back. Okay, so polar bear in a snowstorm eating marshmallows. Awesome. Let's pull up GPU image. So GPU image is open source code. And let's, not the Mac version. Doinkus. I want the iPhone version. Okay. And then building it is as simple as building the framework. Actually already built before we started, so it should be ready to go. I cheat a little bit. I hope you don't mind. But are you still there?
Yeah, this is just like on a cooking show, and they just go.
I know, exactly. Right. So we put this in the oven before the show started. We dragged this over, dragged the framework. Okay, so the framework is now in our project. And unfortunately, we've got to do a little bit of tediousness before we can actually use it. We need to tell it to copy the framework over to the iPhone. Copy files.
Are you going to edit out the inevitable 4 hours of messing around in the provisioning profiles?
Shh, that's already been done. Shh. Okay, we've added it. Let's build it and run it. Okay, builds and runs, doesn't crash. Great sign. Okay. Ghosts. So, first step, anytime doing visual programming, is to get some reference images. That's what I do anyway.
So what's the theme here? Are you going for spooky? Are you going for goofy?
Well, that's a good question. Like, I mean, this is clearly, what do you want to call it? Stereotypical ghost. Everybody knows this ghost.
Slimer?
Yeah. So I think he should be a reference. Here's some more ghosts that everybody knows.
This Halloween, I think you won't be able to avoid those ghosts.
Yes, I know. Well, it's not opening until December, right?
Oh, that's right. So you should make a Christmas one too. Make a spooky Christmas.
I've got all kinds. Honestly, yes, I have a Christmas episode lined up, but it is not with this project. It is with another one. So patience. Patience.
So do you care about the size of the image, or you're just grabbing a bunch of swipe right now to like fill a folder of kind of inspiration?
Just inspiration.
Yeah.
I want to capture what is. Remember? Oh, this is the one I like. I like this one too. It's small, but okay. Just sort of what kinds of stuff looks ghostly, and then I'm going to quiz you.
Oh, I got it. What are the characteristics of why we see an image and describe it as a ghost?
Exactly. So why are these? What is something about these that you think is ghostly?
First off, I'm seeing that there's a quality of transparency.
Okay.
And I think that's a pretty stereotypical thing with when we say ghost or a ghosted image.
Right.
Even in Photoshop, if you're going to drop a layer back, we call that ghosted.
Right.
Whenever something's kind of over. I almost wonder if the word ghost comes from transparency first, but. So we always have this idea that ghosts are see-through.
Ghost. How do you spell that? Etymology.
What's the etymology of etymology?
Etymology. Yeah, stop it. Too meta. Old ghost. Related to Dutch Geest and German Geist.
Meaning ghost.
Meaning ghost. Okay, well, all right, forgot that.
Yeah, so in film, at least, I think there's been a precedence that ghosts are transparent and sort of ethereally there, present but not present.
Okay, so next.
There always seems to be, in any successful ghost portrayal, I'm going to get a little bit technical here.
Ooh, nice.
Rim lighting.
Okay.
There's always a highlight around the outer edge or a glow.
Right.
So there's some energetic quality. It's sort of a projection in space.
Maybe a halo. Okay, so next.
So we've got translucence, we've got rim lighting. I think that they're always kind of bluish in film, other than our Slimer example.
Right.
There's always kind of a bluish coldness.
But a coloration.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's probably good to start with.
So translucent, glowing, and tinted.
Right. Okay. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye. Okay, so how do we program that? Without it being tedious, most importantly. View controller. So we're going to use this framework, right? This GPU image that Brad Larson made for us that I really like. You know, it's got its quirks like all things do, but GPU image view. Oh, it's not recognizing GPU image because we need to import it.
You want to talk? So, at what level do you want to talk about this kind of stuff?
Whatever level you want to. Honestly, I will. I'm going to type everything out, so that, or I'm going to enter everything. I'm actually going to copy paste a little bit to save time. But you can talk about it any way you want.
Well, I mean, I was interested about how the way that you have to remember to import it in every main file.
Oh yeah. You don't want it to use. I guess you want to be explicit about what you import so that it's not using something you're not aware that it's using. If that makes sense. You don't want to introduce dependencies without being explicit about it. So you say add GPU image to my project. I've already added it in a couple different ways, and now I'm adding it in a third way.
I feel like in some ways, Karl, we grew up in the Great Depression of programming. Like my grandparents grew up in the Great Depression, and they saved Saran wrap. And like they won't throw anything out. They really worry about what everything costs and the value of it. And I think we grew up where 512K of memory was an upgrade. And so we used every line of code and called every library really judiciously because we were constantly running out of memory. What's funny about working on phones is people complain about 512 gigs on the old iPhone 4 and say, how can I make something new if I only have 512 megs of RAM? Not gigs, but megs. So within what you're talking about is there's always this sense of efficiency to people who've been doing this for a while.
Right.
You don't have to worry about that at all in Swift. In fact, it's difficult to.
Oh, you're going to use this as an opportunity to pimp Swift.
Not really.
No, that's fine.
really. I was just saying, like, I think a lot of people who are getting into coding right now are probably going to just skip Objective-C altogether.
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah, you're making. I'm recording a new episode, and you're making me feel dated. Okay,
Yeah.
That's fine. No, that's totally cool. That's what friends are for, Noah. Did you see my change of the word import here?
Yeah, what's going on there? You turned it into a symbol?
Yeah, this is Swiftification of Objective-C. This is their new import syntax. It's at import, and you don't use quotes, and you don't specify the exact file. You just say import this. I think they call it a module.
Each other.
Yeah. They're. Yeah. All right. You can take your Swift and stick it in your ear. Yeah. Shut up. I'll adapt or I'll die. So I ran this code, and it looks like a polar bear in a snowstorm eating a vanilla ice cream sandwich with white crust bread.
Let's make a polar bear ghost. Let's just go for it.
But what I did is I added a view. If you recall from last episode, views are these boxes on the screen. And this one is white, so it looks exactly like the white background. But it is the same size as the background, so you can't tell. All of that is fascinating. Let's do something fun now. And I'm going to copy paste. Remember I said I was going to do that?
Sure.
Yeah. Because it's hard to type while I'm talking to you, and I've already cooked this before you showed up. But what I'm going to do... I need to import this over here, too. In fact, I should have imported it here. Creating a property, sometimes called a member variable in some classes. Okay, so I created this property, member variable thing for an object I'm calling camera. And it is of type video camera. What do you think about that? That sounds pretty exciting, huh?
I think typing of variables is one of the most difficult parts of Objective-C, especially people who come to it from a background in scripting or JavaScript, where you have so automatic verbose. Typing. It's really verbose, and it really spits if you do it wrong.
Okay, so I just copy pasted. I think that's helpful. I'll talk about it though. So I'm creating a video camera, and I'm setting it with some presets, like this is a size, and I'm saying use the front camera, and I'm saying use portrait orientation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to tell that camera now to add a target. And what is a target? In Brad Larson's system, he has this concept of a target. So you create these things, and then they act on something else. So the camera is going to act on that view, right? I said add target view. So one would hope that when we run this, something good happens. Oh. And then we also tell the camera to start camera capture.
Ah, there he is.
Hello. Okay, so what do you think? Pretty ghosty, right?
Yeah, you've already got that blue glow.
Right. Kind of yellowy, actually. Kind of yellow lighting in here. Yeah, let's do lighting. So coloration. Do you want to do coloration first? Coloration's
sure.
Probably easiest.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so property, strong, GPU, image. I'm forgetting to cut and paste here. Levels. Okay. Have you ever used Photoshop before?
I maybe tried my hand at it.
Yeah. Have you ever used the levels image adjustment? Doodad?
Is this better if I say I haven't?
No, be honest.
Karl, I've been leveling since before they were layers.
Okay.
That's the sad thing about how long I think you and I have both been doing this is we remember how excited we were when they added layers to Photoshop. Good old Photoshop 3. So you're gonna do a levels adjustment on each color channel.
Yes.
Pixels, the green pixels.
Yes, exactly. So I'm trying to remember what order I want to do this in. I guess this is fine. But I want to move this down here. Okay. So yes, I'm going to do the levels. So for doing coloration, I think levels, from experimenting before, levels gave me something I liked better than just like straight up multiplying or using the other effects, because the hues change over the range then. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm adjusting the gamma of RG and B separately. Did you already say all that?
No, I just liked how you explained it in a more complicated.
Oh. Well, okay.
You may be one of the few people who could even knows what gamma does without having to do trial and error.
Well, it
lower number brighter, lower number darker.
Right. But it does it in a nice way. So it'll, instead of just being one solid hue, now we'll have like a range of hues around our primary hue. But I need to. So what I've done here is I've told levels. Levels now has an add target, and I'm sending it to the view. But here I want to send. I got to get the wiring right. Camera, add target, levels. Okay. So what I'm doing is I have the camera section here, and what I'm telling the camera to do is to feed its output to levels. And then I'm telling levels to set its output to the view. Okay, so if you can imagine there's this chain now, right? The video image comes in from the camera, goes to levels, and then goes to the screen. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you have it there twice, or you just were showing it to us?
Do I have it there twice? Oh, yeah, I've got it there twice. Yeah, that's what happens when I try to program and talk at the same time.
Pair programming.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. And I'm terrible at that too. Okay, let's see what happens. And it crashes. No. Does it?
You learn more from a build that fails than from one that sails through.
Right. Build failed. What happened? String. Oh, Noah! You're supposed to catch those.
Whoops.
All right. Build succeeded. Woo. Now, so I went with green instead of blue because
you caught a cold.
I did. It's actually the flu.
Yeah, you need some chicken soup.
Yeah. But you can see what I'm talking about. Over here, you get yellows, right? And over here, you get greens. So
yeah, it still has some richness to it. It's not just like a green gel over the whole thing.
Exactly. So is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think we want blue, though.
Really? You guys. Okay. So what kind of numbers for red, green, and blue then? Smarty pants.
So right now you have of the gamma, you have green as highest.
Yeah.
A little less red and barely any blue.
Right.
And going back to art class, let's see if we can think this through. So we're seeing yellow.
Right.
And if we think about the
mostly
wheel in our head, it's a little different for computer stuff.
Right.
Because yellow and blue are in opposite. So if we're seeing yellow, that means we don't have enough blue. Red and cyan are in opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're seeing some cyan, that means we don't have enough red. And then green and orange.
Yes.
Is that right? Do I have it? So if you lower green, it would turn more orange. So I think what we want to do is up blue.
Okay. So blue to 1.0?
Yeah, let's give it all the blue.
Oh, you want to turn down red? Let's turn down red, because.
Yeah.
And then do you want it to be cyan or do you want it to be mostly blue?
I think that from those pictures it was an icy blue.
Okay, so turn down the green then too.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's see what happens.
Okay. Build succeeded.
Let's go for Skype blue. Ooh, I like that with a little bit of red.
Ooh,
It gives it the.
Why am I frozen though?
Oh no.
My question is, why did that video freeze?
Yeah.
Okay, that's better.
It's pretty ghostly, man.
Ooh, I'm so scared. Okay, let's
Is it colder in that room now?
It is. It's gotten really cold. Yeah.
The Nebuchadnezzar looks good in that light.
Thank you. It's actually a Sentinel.
Oh, the Sentinel looks good in that light.
That's okay.
Your head was in the way. That's
right.
Not the fact that I have no idea what the hell that movie was really about. Can't remember any of
it. Right. No one can. You're watching Mr. Robot though, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I am convinced. I'm going to make this prediction now.
Okay.
It's going to. So I feel that, and it's pertinent to my audience because this is a landmark television series. I think it's going to go through a Matrix phase. I think.
So do you think so? When they played "Where Is My Mind"?
Yes.
You're saying that now I'm not caught up. Okay.
Okay.
So
but you are pretty close to caught up if you heard "Where Is My Mind."
So the last episode that I saw, spoiler warning here, was the rooftop scene between the Swedish guy and the wife. Okay,
right.
So that's where I'm at. I'm 1 or 2 episodes behind.
So how do you know about "Where Is My Mind"?
I read about it online.
Yeah, don't do that.
And I think since the first episode, there was a scene, and I know this is not what you want to talk about, but there was a scene with Mr. Robot talking at a bar to.
Yes.
And I said to my wife, we need to watch this scene closely, because Elliot's not there.
Right. Exactly.
And it felt to me like, I think since the beginning when he first showed up, and what was E-Corp called originally?
E-Corp.
And then slowly the entire world has started calling it Evil Corp, even in the news.
Right. I think that's indicative that Elliot, we're seeing things through Elliot's eyes.
Yeah.
And he reprogrammed his mind. So we hear it as Evil Corp.
Yeah.
So.
Like the whole world calls.
Which is why we see Elliot's hallucinations and delusions.
If we do. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. So we sort of took a detour through Fight Club, and I feel like the next stop is Matrix Land, especially since Elliot's last name is Alderson, and Neo's last name was Anderson.
Interesting.
I think it's just too much.
Yeah.
So I'm half suspecting Elliot will wake up from a pod in a future dystopia.
I wouldn't want to watch the rest of the show if that's what happens.
No. I like it.
I get what you're saying though. I like the premise that he's in some simulation.
Right. I'm sympathetic to simulations anyway. So I've got a weird shadow on my face. I didn't even notice. That's a shame. Oh well.
This is pretty ghostly, I gotta say. I'm kind of creeped out.
Wow. Get ready, man. There's a lot more ghosting coming on. Transparency, right? Translucency?
Yeah.
Okay. So to get that effect, we're going to have to do something a little more sophisticated than just bluing stuff. We need something that's sort of ghostly on top of something that's solid. Let's look at that picture again, if that'll help, or any of those pictures. But this is my favorite one. So she is a ghost, and you can see through her. And the wall behind her is solid, but she is not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to need 2 layers. Have you ever used layers in Photoshop?
What do they do? It's like a cake.
Right. It's exactly like a cake. Okay. So the first layer, the first layer is going to be the blue camera stuff, right? Strong, not strange. GPU, image, picture. picture. Okay, what is a picture, Noah? Okay, save time. Copy paste. Right? That's a good idea, I think. Copy paste. Yeah? No, you don't like that idea?
Got it. I see what's going on.
Okay. So off to the side, I have this image of some curtains. Now, I made them kind of greenish because I was expecting a green ghosty effect. But you twisted my arm. So when these colors clash, you have yourself to blame. Okay, so I dragged the image into the project, and in my code, I am loading the image into a UI image, and then I'm creating another GPU image effect thingy, and I'm saying, do an image.
What's interesting about this, when I think of an image, I think of sort of an image file.
Right.
But this is actually happening just in memory, right?
Well, it is. This is an image file that I dragged into the project.
Mm-hmm.
And then this line up here loads it. So it's an image in memory. So it stops being a file at that point. Here, I'm just going to pipe. I call it pipe, this adding targets, because that's sort of some of the nomenclature I use. So I'm going to turn off the levels going to the screen, to the view. And I'm going to turn on the picture going to the view. And it should be pretty.
Do you call commenting marks tilted pipes?
No.
Could we get that going?
I'm not that much of a nerd.
Could we make that a thing?
No. I find it hard to believe that you're more of a nerd than I am. Was that another 15-minute ting?
No, I'm surprised you could hear that. No, that was just a nagging email from FreshBooks.
Okay. So now I'm creating an add blend. Self.add equals, let's copy paste. Although that one's pretty easy to do. Self.add equals GPU image add blend filter alloc init. Okay, so add blend. Any guesses as to what this is going to do?
I'm guessing it's going to add and blend.
So what we're going to do is we're going to send the picture into the add blend.
You know, there's something really interesting that's going on.
And we're going to send the levels into the add blend. So this particular effect has two targets. Self.add. And then we're going to send the output of the add to the screen. Okay, I'm sorry, what were we going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, what's interesting about this is when you first talked about ghosting, I thought, how are you going to remove yourself from the background and let the background show through?
Right.
But
well,
the neat thing about what you're doing is since you're projecting it, you're building the image sort of, the image happens on the window to the outside.
Oh, why did
and
test succeeded? What? Why are you not building properly? Did I click the wrong?
So either you were transparent to the background, or there's a transparent foreground, and both work since you're projecting through a window. You do look like a ghost.
Thank you. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to cut out my background with just a sort of mask thing. What I really should do is like sort of identify what's moving and make that. But
I was gonna bring that up. That back in the PlayStation days, Sony had invented their PlayStation Eye camera, and it had a bunch of games that were based on background removal, where they would create an image without you in the shot.
Right.
You'd get out of the shot.
Right.
And then they would take the difference between that static image and your beautiful face.
Yeah. Did you know I wrote some software that did that before the Sony PlayStation did?
I believe it. Paste it. Do you have that in your paste list?
It's not hard to find. Karl Waterworks. I'm going to rebuild it, actually. I am building a bunch of installations now. And And so this guy, which hasn't existed for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a good version of him. Let's see if I can make it full screen.
I hate that was already 20 years.
Well, it makes me happy because, except it won't play. Why won't it
What's
play?
old is new again.
Why won't it play? Isn't that weird? It won't play.
It's too meta. It can't play through a play. Wow.
Can you see it?
What was that running on? What was doing the warp? The image warp?
Pentium 2, maybe?
Interesting.
Yeah, all in software, no GPU. Yeah.
So it's low resolution.
Yeah, you can see it's really fuzzy, but it worked. That's annoying that it won't actually play. Okay, so ghosts. Stop changing the subject. God.
Ghosts.
God, you're making me crazy, man.
Ghosts.
Vignette. Do you know what a vignette is? Have you heard of vignette?
I've heard of a vignette.
Yes. So I'm going to make a vignette to chop out the background of my image. It's going to. So what it does is it adds. It adds darkness to the edges of your image to make it look like an old-timey camera. But I'm going to abuse vignette. I'm going to abuse it so that it totally blacks out everything but me. And so I've set the parameters to be super aggressive. And I really feel like it's cheating, but... oh, there we go. What did I just do? That's not what I meant. I did something wrong.
You were in the dungeon.
Oh, I forgot to. So I'm sending the vignette. I'm sending the curtains and the vignette. Well, this is basically the effect I wanted, but I'm doing it to the curtains too. So I want to put the vignette in before the ad. Noah, after the levels. So
It's my fault.
Levels goes into vignette. Levels goes into vignette, and picture and vignette go into add. Okay, let's rewire this circuit. And see, it's kind of cool that we can do all this without writing any low-level code.
Yeah. We've got our panda back.
Right, soft go, add. We forgot to add target to the view, I believe. Did you see, can you see my typo? Is there a typo in there? Come on. You're supposed to be checking.
Thinking it has something to do with the wiring pattern. There it is!
But it keeps crashing. It's building the wrong target.
It's pretty disturbing. Honestly, I gotta say, if somebody told me that they built this level of interactive display for Halloween and it only took 27 minutes with somebody distracting them while they did it, I would have never believed it.
But there's yet more. Let's add some gewgaws. So we're getting pretty ghostly. One other thing that I want to do here is add a low pass filter. Now, of course, you know what a low pass filter is, right? Right, Noah?
Am I supposed to pretend that I do or that I don't?
You can just tell me.
Am I the guy who doesn't know? What is a low pass filter, Karl?
A low pass filter is kind of a bad name. This is going to show up more like, because I'm going to dial it up really high. Normally, the way it's supposed to be used is to remove noise from your image. But when you turn it up really high, you get something that's like motion blur. Okay?
So it's going to take... at low levels, it gets a little bit of noise. At high levels, it gets all the detail.
Right. Self.add. I don't even remember how I do this. Add target. I think my coffee ran
I didn't even have any, Karl. I had to go to the bank without coffee.
I've stopped drinking coffee. But I drink it for special occasions like today. Okay, let's see if this works. So when we turn it way up, we get this motion blur-like effect that I feel is ghostly. And again, it crashed. It's building the tests. It's building tests instead of actually running the code.
Oh, that's from the low pass.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you get this. Ooh.
Yeah, you look very ethereal. Or what we feel like people have used this type of effect to to tell a story.
Exactly. So now what I'm doing is I'm starting to use some of the things I know are commonly used. So if I hold really still, you can't see my mouth moving though, huh? Only kind of creepily. Then I come into focus. But if I move around at all, I go away. Let's see. Okay, so here is a trick they used to use in Hollywood back in the day for ghosts. They used to film, they used to take footage like this and then put a very thin layer of water on top of it and then create waves in that water to make the ghost sort of go woo, so sort of ripply.
Part of life, yeah. You're not necessarily fully here in the real world with us.
Right. And there's something. So maybe you're caught on the wind a little bit, or maybe who knows. So let's do that, and that's going to be a pretty sophisticated effect.
Wow.
Yeah. It's going to take.
I'm already impressed that this is running on a phone.
Ooh. Okay. To do that, the first thing we need to do is describe what we want the water shape to be. Okay? And so that's purlin noise. Have you ever heard of purlin noise?
No.
Okay. And then let's put it in before the curtains. We don't want it to happen to the curtains.
Now, how did you know that there was a function involving purlin noise? Did you go through the documentation? Did you experiment?
Yes, but let me talk about purlin noise.
Yeah.
Purlin noise. Purlin noise is a famous. See, it's been clicked on before. Is a famous noise effect in. Oh, they changed their graphic. When I shot this last week, they had these two images mixed up. It's a famous. It was invented by Ken Perlin in 1983. He was working on Tron. Remember Tron?
Love it.
Yeah. So he invented a lot of cool stuff because he was there in the beginning. And one of these is, it just looks like this gray scale, bumpy sort of thing.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting about it is that it goes on for infinity. There's an infinity of this pattern in all directions that doesn't repeat.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do is you use this as a base component for other effects, and that's what we're going to do. Is we're going to use this as sort of the shape of the water, and because it goes on forever, it'll be good for us because we're going to want it to actually move. Okay.
You'll never see a hard edge.
Right.
Where the tile repeats.
Right. So let me copy paste that creation. So I set the scale, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send the noise directly to the screen. Okay? Just so we can see what it looks like. Okay.
I see a ghost form in there.
Yeah. I think you might be being a little too generous, but that's okay. That's cool. I appreciate it.
That's a creepy face in there staring at me.
Won't complain. But what I want, what I want is this thing to move over time.
Gotcha.
So we've got to do something a little tricky for that. We need to create a new function, a new method, okay, that changes the offset over and over and over again. What we're going to do is we're going to set this up so that it gets called every 5/100th of a second.
Would you describe that as the duration?
Oops. I would describe that as the update rate. So I'm going to create a timer.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
And it's going to time interval, and it repeats, and it calls this update parameters. And update parameters just changes the noise position. So let's see how this affects the code. And hopefully this will actually work.
I thought I was hinting that you might want to update a UI element with duration. You want to animate it with duration. Animate with duration. But this works really well too.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that one off the top of my head, so I would have to... I just... I mean, all of this stuff I know off the top of my head, but I do have notes on the side that...
So, this looks really cool, like it'd be used for a smoke effect, a water ripple effect. So how are you going to ripple the image with this?
We are going to use yet another effect from our toy box. GPU image distortion filter.
So these are all coming from GPU image.
Right.
So he's kind of built this framework, and to show how useful it is, he's rebuilt some classic computer graphics.
Right. He's got a bunch of cool stuff.
He's adapted them to work with his framework. Or are these already sort of hard-coded aspects of the GPU that he's giving you access to?
A little bit of both. Like the Perlin noise isn't built in. This isn't built in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mix. This, I mean, it's all very similar to Photoshop filters, right? But there's also a large class of software that has, especially in visual effects, that has these things built in. And it's called compositing software, and that's very much what's going on here. Is we're building a real-time compositor. So anyway, let me tell you what I did here. I've got this distortion filter, right? And it takes 2 inputs. Oh, are you okay?
Sorry about that. I was trying to mute myself.
No, it's fine. If you're not feeling well.
I thought I had a cough button here, but I guess it didn't work.
Okay, so we're gonna send the vignette. We're going to send both the vignette and the noise into distortion. So it's another one of these that takes 2 inputs. And can you guess what it's going to do?
It's going to distort the vignette and the noise.
With the noise, right?
With the noise.
Oh,
interesting.
So let's check it out.
So this is going to distort the shape that's masking you.
And this is totally not it.
It kind of looks like the curtains are billowing.
Are they? No. It should be. I dialed it up pretty good. I sent the wrong thing here. So I got my wiring wrong. I didn't want vignette. Remember the ad? The ad that mixes the curtains with Ghost?
Yeah.
I don't want to mix it with the vignette. I want to mix it with the distortion. So I need to draw a picture of this. Why don't you draw a picture?
Or use some kind of layout. Whoa, Karl, hold your breath. Whoa. I can't believe how easy that seemed to be for you. That works really well. All right, I'm convinced you've died.
Yeah, I'm dead.
So let's say you felt like the ripples were too big. You wanted smaller.
Sure,
you didn't want to get that pig face effect. You didn't want one eyeball.
But I love that pig face effect. We changed the size of those ripples, right? So here in the scale, how much? It's 5 right now. So I think that means there are 5 waves across the screen. How many waves do you want? You want it to be smaller, so you want 20 waves across the screen?
Let's see what happens.
Okay. Now, I don't know, that might not be good because the strength of the distortion is still pretty high.
You're fully underwater.
Yeah, here, I can't, I've got a hotkey that just isn't working for me.
Maybe what we really want is just 2 waves.
Yeah, is that not? So I could turn down the strength so that I don't look like this, or I could do 2 waves. It's your call. Which way do you want to go?
I like the idea of experimenting.
You want to do 2 waves?
Yeah, a little trial and error.
Okay. Can't hit Command U anymore. Doesn't work.
Or maybe it's the distortion scale you want to change. So this one...
Yeah, this is almost unreadable. Although if we turn up the strength now, we'd be able to see it.
Well, I wonder if it's... Yeah.
It's moving very slowly, and the waves are huge, so it might not even...
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, I kind of see it. You know, that would be a really great effect if you wanted the curtain to look like it was waving.
Right. That's a good idea. That is a totally good idea. So here I've pressed the wrong key again. So here they are bigger, and in fact, we could turn that way up if you wanted to make it look like billowing curtains. Right. There is one more effect I want to do before we wrap, and it is kind of complicated, so we should probably get to it, even though we're over time. You ready for one more effect?
Yeah.
Okay. It is almost identical to what this wave thing we've done so far, right? Except instead of moving the image around by this sort of randomly imposed from the outside wave shape, I want to use the actual video data itself to distort the video data itself, if that makes sense.
It doesn't, but I bet when we see it, it'll make more sense.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blur myself, blur my camera input, and then I'm going to feed that into the distortion in place of those wave shapes.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. And it'll be pretty easy. Because all we need to do is set up a blur. And of course it comes with a blur. It calls it Gaussian blur.
And that's just like Perlin, but there isn't anybody named Gauss.
There is someone named Gauss.
There is?
Yes.
Oh.
French mathematician, which is why the French say Gauss.
Oh.
That's his Gaussian blur. But who says Gaussian? Nobody.
I do from now on.
Oh, really?
Sure.
I wouldn't. So I knew some visual effects guys from Montreal that were very indignant about that.
Next, you're going to tell me that Watt was named after somebody. All these fundamentals of electricity, like there's people named after him.
James Watt, you mean?
Uh.
Are you messing with me? James Watt?
All right, let's go.
Volt, ampere, yeah. Okay, so blur. Blur takes this input from the camera, and I'm going to send that blur directly into the distortion filter. Are you still there?
I am still here. And
Did you fall asleep?
No, but the waveform is making me really relaxed. You could have a whole nother application where you make people feel like they're in a sensory deprivation chamber or calmly floating on the water.
All right, let's build this now. I feel like I didn't do that right.
I wonder, it's such a great simulation of water. It makes me wonder how that noise relates to what happens in water. Wow.
Hi, Noah. How are you?
You turned into the Addams Family. Look at those pearly whites. I kind of wish you looked like that in real life.
Okay, so what it's doing is the dark areas of my face are getting stretched out. So my irises and my pupils are bigger than they usually are. My mustache is bigger. Looks like my teeth. And this is freaky, but I find it's more interesting when you reverse the effect and you make the... I heard that. When you make
15 minutes, yeah.
I find it's more interesting when you reverse the effect, but it's less flattering for me, so please don't judge me. Remember, this is not really what I look like.
I think the kids would get a kick out of it like this.
So I just negated that parameter.
I feel like I know that guy too.
Yeah?
Looks like football Karl.
And we can turn it up. So this is cool. It's like, there are other distortion effects, but this one tracks with your face.
Yeah. Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Along the lines of what I'm thinking of is, I love how this looks like it's really being projected through the curtains.
Yeah.
Is that so that right now we can get a sense of how this effect is going to look? And when you really do project it through the curtains, you'll take off that curtain image?
No. So I hang a sheet over my window, but I want it to still look like the curtains are there. I don't want it to look like it's just an image coming from nothing. I want to create the illusion.
Oh, you want the sheet, but does the sheet become the curtains? Does the sheet provide the illusion itself? Or?
Well, here, let me show you this mock-up.
In a way, you want to project the texture of the curtains onto the sheet.
Right. Oops.
Because you want them to think it's just a regular sheet until the face appears.
Well, I don't want them.
Curtains.
You're right. I don't want them to know there's a sheet involved at all.
Yeah, got it.
Like, so this is what the curtains.
They'll think it's just the light inside the room.
Right. It'll look like a, superimposed on top. Okay. So here is what it looks like normally.
Yeah.
And then this is what I want it to look like. So if I tried to show the ghost through the curtains, that wouldn't work because the curtains are so dark.
Yeah.
Right. So I want the ghost to be bright, so I use the sheet so that I can get the full range of lighting.
Yeah.
But then I don't want to superimpose the ghost on top of this. I want it to look like the room,
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise it would just be a ghost on a dark room.
Right. And then, you need to add other effects too, which is a topic for another show. That's all I was going to show you, but I have, before we part, well, I also want to let you play with the parameters if you're interested in that.
Sure, how can I do that?
Well, you can tell me what to do, but first I need to confess because I've been lying to you.
Okay, we didn't actually code this.
Some of the effects I've been using here, Brad Larson didn't actually write. I wrote.
Are you Brad Larson?
I'm not Brad Larson, but I was in a parallel universe because that Waterworks thing I showed you earlier had almost all the same stuff in it, but it wasn't written for the iPhone.
Okay.
So yes, Brad and I are kindred spirits in a way.
Oh, okay.
All of this stuff I had in my Waterworks, and it was open source too, but without iPhones. So what I'm going to do is it's the distortion effect and the Perlin noise effect. I'm going to send them to Brad, and Brad seems like a reasonable guy. He takes contributions. Actually, it's a modification of his Perlin noise, and then so everyone will be able to do these because the distortion is really cool. It lets you distort an image based on another image.
It's the kids are going to get a big kick out of that.
Yeah.
I would think the one thing, if I was going to mess with it, is can you have more of you and a little less of the curtains? Can you come through them a little stronger? Because the kids are really going to get a kick out of that.
Right. How would I do that? So going off script, I've got to look up GPU image.
I wonder if you could do an inverse mask with a vignette you did, but in reverse, so that it was.
Well, what I think I'll do is the easiest way to do this would probably be to. That's not the curtains. This is the curtains. The easiest way to do that would be just to dial down the strength of the curtains in the curtain image.
Oh, nice.
So, have you ever used levels in Photoshop?
I haven't. What are they?
Well, it'll let me dial this down. Is that how I want to do it? Sure. File, save. Yeah, save. Okay, and send Photoshop away. And now we'll copy these curtains in.
So the idea is by making it darker, when it doesn't add blend, there's less to blend.
Right. Where are those? I need to delete them first. Why can't I? Oh, there they are. Move to trash, please. Okay, put it back in. Yes, yes, yes. Build and run. So by turning down the curtains, it effectively makes this guy stronger. Yeah. Now we could probably likewise monkey with our levels effect. Let's see, if we turn this up to 2, will that do what I want? No, maybe let's turn it down to a half. That made us darker.
Gammas.
Yeah. I'm not sure how he's interpreting these numbers. So I'm trying to avoid looking up his other filters because he's got hundreds of filters. Ooh. That's not what I expected.
It's more prominent.
Yes, it is. I'm going to turn down the strength of that effect. It's a little too much for me. It's making me look a little too unattractive. Now I'm only...
You sure it's not just a front camera on the iPhone? They're terrible for that.
Yes, because I don't look like a troll usually. Well, that's not doing what I want either. Like we could probably.
I think we were in good shape how we were.
Yeah, I could turn these numbers up. I'll shift the color around, but we already lost the color there. Oh yeah.
It's a little bit closer back to normal.
Stopped running again. Yeah, I don't want to go through the process of here. I'm going to make it green. I'm going to show you how much better it looks green.
Yeah, let's see it.
You and your.
It was your pictures that you sourced.
Right. Well, I was going for a Slimer sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I figured the kids could identify with Slimer. See, this is exactly not what I was looking for.
You had the green at 0.1 instead of 1.0.
Yeah.
But that, that's a good depths of hell kind of quality.
Right. And this is supposed to be 7. Okay. Whoa.
Yep. Very Slimer.
Anything else you want to play with before we leave?
I think that's awesome.
So I will push this code to GitHub, and I will push the app to the App Store. All you need to do to use it is to get an iPhone and stream your video. I use an Apple TV, so I do the AirPlay thing, if you know what I mean, and AirPlay it to my projector.
So you set up the projector to shine on the windows.
Yeah.
And then you put the Apple TV connected to the projector, and then you project your screen. Now, the one question I have is, this is vertical video. Do you mount the projector sideways?
No, you'll have to change this setting right here. You'd have to change to horizontal or landscape. And then also out here in the build settings for the project, turn off portrait and just make it a landscape app.
And then you would hold the camera sideways.
Oh, and that would be a good thing to do too.
I kind of like this version of you.
Yeah.
It's flattering in a just got out of prison kind of way.
Yeah, I don't think so. I got little beady eyes. Little bitty beady eyes.
But the whitest teeth anybody has ever seen.
Okay, thank you so much for humoring me
Karl.
today.
This was awesome.
And I will talk to you later.
Happy Halloween.
You too.
This programming is made possible through the financial support of viewers like you. Thank you.